What's up, Discmaniac? Zach here, Team Discmania and owner of RotorDiscGolfSupply.com. Tomorrow, we're dropping tomorrow, Friday the 20th, the Horizon MD1s are dropping. I have two of them here with me so we can show you how they fly really quick. And then I'm going to do some really fast editing and get these up. I barely got these in time for the drop. So this can be a quick down and dirty review of these. But these are two different ones because they are slightly different. Some of the ones that I noticed, these are actually pretty similar, but this one, it may be hard to tell. This one has a little bit of dome to it, and this one's a little flatter. So out of the box, they're about 50-50. Even within the same color, some of them just had a little bit of dome to them. It's not much. No different than kind of how the C-lines came out. This C-line's a little flatter. Some of them had just a smidge of dome to them. If anything, I think they feel closest to the Mindbender in shape, because the swirly S-lines were pretty much flat. I don't think I had any of them that were domey, and they're really soft in the middle. So like when you really dig your thumb in, they feel almost puddle top to board flat. So these are definitely stiffer than any run I've thrown so far, bordering the C-lines. But I think the middle flight plate of the C-line's even softer than these. But I love the stiff feel. It's basically C-line plastic. If you were to close your eyes, I handed this to you, you'd probably tell me it was C-line. So the stamps on these came out absolutely incredible. And the flight on these is just as good. I was really happy to see that with these, similar to the Horizon Cloudbreaker, the feeling of these is stiffer and more stable, whereas in pretty much everything else, the Horizon version has been the least stable. So the Horizon DD1s, the Horizon FD1s, those have all been less stable than their C-line or S-line counterparts. Not with these. This is the most stable run of the MD1 I've seen so far. Still a little bit of turn, but more torque resistant. So minimal flex in the hand. Like I said, they feel pretty stiff. Still flat. Like when you put your thumb in it, you're still getting it flat. So even that little bit of dome, it doesn't bother me. I don't really like domey mids. I like all my mids to be flat. So before we lose the sunlight here, because I got to get this video done, edited, and dropped so you guys can actually see this before they drop, we're going to throw 350 here to the basket, just kind of a modified T-pad off hole one because it's normally a low ceiling. So 350 to the pin. So you can see pretty much like an 85% power rip for me. That's about as hard as I'm going with a mid to make sure I have the control. So we'll throw this one on a flat release, and then we'll throw the other one on a hyzer release out a little wider so you can watch it kind of stand up and come back to really see the understability of these. And then we'll compare it to a C-line, a Mindbender, an S-line with a swirly, and then also I brought out a swirly, or rather a S-line MD3 just to see kind of a little compare contrast. So we'll run through these and we'll get it going. First up, we have the black. This is my slightly flatter one. Beautiful shatter rainbow stamp on this with a black, really good contrast. Like I said, the stiffness between the two is the same. This one's just a little bit flatter. We're gonna throw this on a flat release. The other one I'll throw on a slight hyzer, and then we'll throw everything else to show a little bit of comparison. A little bit of drift to the right, and then it's gonna fade out at the end here. Just a little bit, and that's sitting pin high, 15 right. Let's go hyzer release on this one so you can watch it out, just kind of glide. Really watch the glide work on this. You see it rise up a little bit, doesn't quite get to flat, and then it's swinging back in, and it's sitting 10 left of the basket. So for the rest of these, I'm just going to try and throw them how I think to kind of simulate the same flight. But this is probably the next most stable run, but this is going to have some turn to it. So I'm just throw a hyzer flip pretty much straight at it. Still seeing the hyzer flip with a turn. Similar glide, great flight, a little bit long. So I got that little bit of turn and it held it longer. But pretty much the same torque resistance, same glide, just a little more flip to it. This is a brand new C-line. I just pulled it out of the store. So not even sure how this flies. I didn't throw the C-lines too much. We're gonna throw on the same as the S-line. Pretty much the same. A little less turn and less fade than the Horizon. The Horizon had more fade at the end than out of the C-line. Otherwise, I'd say the initial flight's about the same. Mindbender, this is gonna need a lot of hyzer. I never liked the Mindbender as much as other people did. I wasn't a huge fan of the late constant like right fade. I like that the other MD1s actually will come back. There, that late, like it just dives out to the right. Just, oh, go in. Yeah, it's sitting next to it. All right. Last but not least, this has been my favorite, the S-Line MD3s. These are really good, more stable than any other run of MD3 so far. These pushed out my beat up MD4s, the like Crescent Falcon MD4. They were super beat up, to be fair, but this pretty much matched a beat up MD4. Kind of torque that over a little. I don't think that's gonna make it back. Definitely not. All right, guys, something different that somebody had mentioned once that I don't actually ever show where these landed. So the first shot, this was the flat shot that just basically didn't really turn and then just kind of faded out, sitting about 10 to 12 short. The big hyzer that kind of tried to get up to flat and then faded is pin high, about 15, 20-ish right. I mean, still, I'm counting all these as made putts. C-Line MD1. A little bit of turn out of it and less fade, so we're sitting about 10 feet long. And then the swirly S-Line got a full turn and then faded back to flat, is sitting about 22 long. But really all these I'm happy with. And then the Mindbender that I threw on a ton of hyzer, and then 50% of the way through the flight, it bailed out, stalling out to the right, and then barely got back to flat, is parked. But again, that was kind of the touchy issue I had with this. You throw this in the wind, and you might never see it again. This is almost more like a stable origin to me. This is why I never really connected with the Mindbender. So hands down out of all these, the swirly's been my favorite, but this is definitely pushing the swirly out of the bag just because that extra little bit of dependability and knowing that once this beats in, it's going to be a workhorse. I'll get that turn out of it that I like, but it's going to have that original fade dependability coming back, and I'll really be able to trust this. And sad to say that I don't really think I'm going to be bagging anything other than an S-Line MD3 that's like basically a really stable MD3, because this is pushing to just beat up MD3 territory now. So make sure you guys check out rotordiscgolfsupply.com tomorrow morning. I think at 10 is when these drop. They're only going to be available on dealer stores, is the Horizon MD1. So this is a dealer appreciation special. You can only get them from me or other dealers, so you might as well get them from me. rotordiscgolfsupply.com. They'll be dropping tomorrow morning. We'll see you guys.